Hi, welcome to Zion Messages. I'm glad you guys are here today. I have something special to share with you guys it's something that's been on my mind for a while, and it's a story, so I'll jump right into it. So I had the wonderful opportunity to go see my grandparents' vacant home in northern Arizona, and they have not been living in this home on and off for about 10 years, and that's because my grandfather, of course, he did pass away about a year ago, but my grandmother has been living in the valley of Arizona. So that's like the more southern part, the warmer part, the Phoenix Valley, for the past 10 years as well. And this home is in the mountains of Arizona, and it is beautiful and gorgeous there. It's not like your regular, what you think of mountains and forest. It is more of the rugged forest with ponderosa pines, not as densely clumped together trees, but it is a beautiful place and I love it. And it is the home that I went to when I was a child. And so it has a special place in my heart, knowing that I made these memories with my cousins and with my grandparents, and being able to see my grandfather fulfill his dream up there, and my grandmother too. But this is a little bit more about him. So this opportunity I went is more of a sad one. My grandmother is going to be selling it soon. And she had mentioned to me, Laura, you should go and grab anything you want. And I felt kind of conflicted, knowing like, I don't care about your stuff, Grandma. Like, I don't want to take your stuff. But she insisted. And I also know that it would be helpful too. So especially since we have a whole unfinished basement that we could use some furniture to furnish it. It would be great to have any heirlooms for the kids to grab, and for me to have to think of her and think of my grandpa, and a lot of actual like yard stuff that helps us because we've moved on to our property less than 2 years ago. It ends up giving us some more things and power tools to help us. And also my side of things, and I feel like inherited from my grandpa, is this prepper side to me. So it's actually really, there's a lot there that is for prepping. It's insane. And so, we went, and it took some effort though. And we were already in northern Arizona and another part of northern Arizona for part of the week, and I thought to myself, I can just we can just easily go home, and I cannot have this happen where I go to the home and actually do this. And I just kept thinking to myself, you know what? I think I'm gonna regret it if I don't. Like, there's only one time that you do this where you really go through your grandparents' house and get to have those things and say goodbye also for me and for my kids to see the home again. Hadn't gone to it as much as of course I had as a kid. Because this is their great grandparents' home, and as my son is 12, like they were out of the house by the time he was like a young toddler, and they weren't really there very much. And because they were just, my grandpa had gotten so sick, and my grandma did as well, and they just needed to be away from that place and get some more care. And so it was very conflicting to go to that home. And it is a beautiful home. It's in the mountains, like I said, and it's like a Victorian style home. So there's like it's like these gables and this lace trim, and it's white and yellow and green. It's mainly a yellow home with these green and white accents, and it just pops out in the forest as you're driving down this back road. And it's very conflicting to go through it all and think about them and think about the memories I had made there with my grandparents and with my cousins, and just walking around those pine trees as a girl and having that fun with it and escaping into nature. I think it's kind of some of my first feelings and inklings of what it really is like to be out in the forest and in nature. And as I have already kind of mentioned, this was my grandfather's dream. And I feel so connected with him in the sense that I have had to work really hard for my own dream of having this property, and how long it took to get to this point. But and now I see that with people. Once you really experience that, you can honor it and see it in other people, and you want to just root them on because it's so important to you when you have something that you want to fulfill that you're so happy when they have. My grandpa, he being diagnosed at like 50 or 55 with Parkinson's, only a year or two after he had moved into this home. So they had worked hard to build it and to plan it and design it. There's even a turret on the top with like all these windows. It's like this princess room, and it's beautiful. Like and it has this beautiful staircase coming down and green carpets. And my grandma had decorated it somewhat Victorian inside as well. But through him fulfilling his dream of being up there, and him also, like I said, being a prepper, this place really could have survived the apocalypse. There's so much there. There's so much food, so much equipment to help anyone through anything. And that was a little bit of what he was going for. And I really am so proud of him for doing that. And, you know, sometimes people thought he was quirky and conspiracy theorist, but he was sticking to his guns of what he believed in, what he wanted to do. And it was really, it's cool. You could really tell that he loved it. There's something very contagious when you could see someone doing the thing they love and they are so happy, and you cannot help but just be happy for them. And I saw that even as a girl, all the way up through my teenage years, and now as an adult. And they also opened up a small like food prepping store while they were there, and that they would freeze dry a bunch of foods and they put it in containers and they'd sell it. And along with that, they'd sell all sorts of odds and ends of canning supplies and freeze dryer stuff and supplies and other kitchen gadgets and supplies. And they would open up this little shop in their detached garage, and that would be part of how they would reach out to the community, as they were also a very big part of this community. It's just so cool to see how everyone loved them, and they had so much fun up there. And so with me going there now with my family with a U-Haul truck and thinking like, what am I doing? I'm going to make this worse, like clearing out the place of stuff and making this an even more sad situation that it is, that I just can't, like, I can't do it. I can't see this. It's too sad. But we did anyway. And because we had decided this is what we're doing, yet we made the whole effort to go over there. It was some effort, and some effort too from my husband and me to move it all. And my kids had mentioned how it was really fun to go on like a big treasure hunt around the home, and we found really cool stuff. Like they are just so fun. My grandparents, like we found bagpipes. He was just so quirky. My grandpa, it was so cool to see his fingerprints all over the home of what he did. And just lots of expired food. There were dehydrators and a solar oven and pressure canners and old hats and sombreros and all sorts of stuff. Like it was there. And at Christmas Village, my grandma had gotten this Christmas Village, and so it was fun to take that. Some things I just knew like this would be really special to have over time. So where I'm going with this, now that I've kind of painted the picture of what this is all like, I just couldn't help a few things, as I'll mention. Number one being, I could just not help but think, I've already experienced with this loss and grief of losing him, couldn't help but think you can't take any of it. It is nothing anymore. And he spent a lot of time working on a lot of these things, of course, but you can't take any of it. And someday, even with my grandma, as she's less sentimental, and she knows like she's not gonna be able to take it either, so she just like take it. So before they do the estate sale, they wanted me to come grab anything, secondly, as on the night that we were there, that first night, I gathered my kids around. We just been apart from each other all day, just doing all these random things around the house, and everyone feeling kind of scattered. We were having a fun time doing all the the hunting around for what will be good and arranging it, and it's a lot of work. But I wanted to gather them around on the trampoline, and we had this beautiful moment together. And I had this feeling come to my heart very quick of what I needed to share. And it's the whole idea that where your treasure is, that's where your heart will be also. You know, that's part of the Sermon on the Mount, as Jesus taught the people some of the very most important things for him to just teach a group of people. That's one of the things he mentioned. And it very much applies to today. But as I was sitting there on the trampoline with my kids, snuggling close with them, grabbing one of the random old blankets inside and trying to have a little bit of a moment, singing a song, bringing in the Spirit quickly, I just shared with them that concept. Like, it might be easy to feel like you like things and want things, but just remember, whatever you treasure the most, that's where your heart will be. And then I shared with them the example of my grandpa and how he had a lot of stuff. He had a lot of hobbies. He did beekeeping, he did bagpipes, he did prepping, he did political stuff around town. He was very active in the church, and he was a very fierce missionary. Most of all, it was almost awkward. Like, you just be going to get a burrito at a restaurant, and he just would talk randomly to people there, and you'd be waiting for a while, and it would just he was so bold and fierce in his testimony of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and he wanted everyone to know it because he also had experienced so much grief, so much loss. When he was younger, he had lost his brother and his little niece in a car accident and left the wife. So then he was 28, 29. His younger brother that was 26 had died in this accident, and this little girl. And he also, with all the crazy things that life brings, going through that, but then getting diagnosed with Parkinson's and being in that for 30 years of being stuck in your body and not being able to move and not being able to fulfill dreams like he thought he would. And he worked so hard to make sure he could keep up what he could and be somewhat in control. I went through so many books. There were huge bookshelves of self-help. He did have a little bit of an obsessive personality, as you could probably tell. And so he did want to try to cure himself to a degree. He wanted to try his very best. But I know that he did eventually surrender, knowing that it's up to God. And as he'd shuffle around the house or have different movements and a slower speech when I couldn't hear him very much because of Parkinson's, that's what it does. Over time we saw him deteriorate, and it's hard to be in such a cool outdoorsy home place and area. It's actually very landscaped and nice too, but it's hard to keep up that lifestyle if you're that deep in a disease. And as I kind of explained all this to my kids, and helping them understand that through all that, as a kid, I always knew where my grandpa's heart was at. He had lots of hobbies. He had lots of money to do those hobbies. He had a lot of money to buy those things all around the house. So much stuff. A little bit of hoarder. But you could tell that his heart was in the gospel of Jesus Christ. He wanted all people to know it because it relieves suffering. It is freedom. It is hope. And Jesus Christ is the only way. And he was a light. Towards the end there, you could just tell he just radiated a light. He's kind of trapped in his own body, but I could tell in his mind he was thinking about things, and he wished he could say and express his testimony more, but you could just tell through his eyes. And maybe that's just me looking at him as a grandchild to her beloved grandpa. But it was a little hard to say goodbye. But I feel very, very grateful to be on the shoulders of giants of really amazing people, ancestors to me that have given me great examples of how I should also teach my kids, and still keep remembering that where your treasure is, that's where your heart is also. And in a world where It's so nice just to go and grab whatever we need at the store and grab whatever's on Amazon and people promoting it as their own business and influencing it, which is fine. It's just sometimes it can become so much and so clogged. And I sometimes just think, oh, I just want to burn it all. And that's not the answer either. Like, we do need to go through this world with stuff. And that's kind of how I was going about it with this whole idea, is that there are some things that are really going to be helpful for us, and especially saving the money of furnishing like a whole basement with a great entertainment center set and TV and a bed set with dresser and nightstands and even a freezer to put outside in our garage. Like, there was just so many things that really have been helpful for us since we've kind of started over a little new out here. And it just takes a special kind of mindset to keep remembering that in a busy family life, that yes, all these things do matter. We have to take care of them. I did feel a heaviness once we brought it all home, and I've had a little bit of a harder time as I've come home. I could feel the stewardship I have of all these new things and items. I need to take care of them, where I put them, and not having them break again as the kids they're kind of in the way because we haven't quite gotten them downstairs or wherever, and unpacking boxes and different things. So my husband was thinking, like, why did we end up doing this then? It's just making our lives more difficult. And I knew it was going to be helpful in the long run. So, but it all comes back down to this mindset of where your treasure is, that's where your heart will be also. And as we looked in the stars, my kids and I think my husband was being busy and going and still working so hard, packing things away. But it was just me and the kids, and we looked up at the sky, and I could just feel my grandfather's presence. I could feel the spirit. I could tell he was happy and he was glad. And I felt very grateful to be able to share that with my kids. And I want to share that with you guys because it is just so important to remember we don't take these things with us. It's all a mirage, right? I don't remember this very often. Trust me, I don't. And all the things I need to clean and do, I hope as I testify in it, it helps me then believe it even more. And I do. But it's part of this mindset that we are to just do the best we can, and we are here to be tested, and we are to try to use our time in the best way towards building the kingdom of God, becoming like our Heavenly Father. Maybe Heavenly Father, he's had to deal with managing lots of things. So maybe that's part of my learning right now in my PhD of life, is to figure out how to manage all these items and to teach even my kids. I guess this is part of helping them understand as they become adults and have their family of their own. And that to use whatever time we have left to doing the most good we can possibly do, and that is to testify of Christ. And if it doesn't get to just that point, of course, it's to be a good friend, to be a good community person, to try to end the epidemic that's going on right now of selfishness and immorality, like, and being that's what I mean, like not having good morals in general. And it's what's going to heal our country right now and the world. There's so much going on. I have not been a part of thinking about it as much. Thank goodness, maybe because I have been doing these busy things, but I do see it, and it does have a heaviness. And I hope that with anyone and one of you listening, that you will go to God, finding the best next priority for you on what you need to do, and improving your family, improving your relationship with God. It can look in all sorts of different ways. For me, it's like I got to get up on time. I got to get enough sleep. I got to stop having anxiety over these items. I got to be extra intentional with one of the relationships with my children right now. And the list goes on. You just have to keep spinning those plates. As I think I mentioned on this channel before, Elder Bednar's analogy of spinning plates. There's no such thing as balance. It's just about going around and seeing which plate is the most wobbly on that little stick. As circus performers, they have that one act where they're spinning the plates on all the sticks. And we just have to give maybe whichever one's the most wobbly a good spin. That's where we have to give our focus to. And that it's not about time, as I've also learned. I had learned from, I think her name's Carolyn. She's from the Homesteading Family, that really popular YouTube family that does homesteading. I think they're in Idaho. And they're not members of the church, I don't believe, but still really good people. It's just the same. They're great, and they have a lot of wisdom. And so she had talked about recently more about how to slow down in winter and be intentional about your rhythms of life. And of course, I had all the intention to be less crazy for winter, and I felt some slowing down and felt like I have been able to relax a little bit so that I can rejuvenate enough for myself come spring and summer. It's just this opportunity came up. I'm like, this is definitely not going along with what I'm hoping for. But that's just kind of also who I am. I do a lot of stuff. I'm kind of a busybody. But she, in a roundabout way, I'm going to get to it. She had talked about, and as you may believe too, like sometimes we're just chasing these to-do lists and the calendar and the time. And it's no new concept, but the way she said it really struck a chord with me. This idea that we do it in rhythms, like stop letting the items or the checking it off or the time and schedule to dictate how the time should go. The task or the person at hand should be determining when it's done. Like it'll let you know when it's done. And like as I'm cleaning a room, oh, it's good enough, I'm done. You move forward, and you're not just like, oh, I only have 5 minutes. Oh, there's still stuff I have to do here in this room that would make a difference for me and my mental health. It's too late. I got to move on, which sometimes that's good. That's good to follow schedules or routines, of course. But I'm thinking about this in the way of, how long should I be spending time with this person? And that's not really the question. It's like, what feeling do I need to get to and connection point do I need to get to with this person before I move on? And then I can finally do the other thing. Is as you just keep doing the next right thing, you're going to get all those things in as God would have intended for you. And it takes a lot of faith and some blindly following, I think. Even it's like, I'm not going to get all these things done. But it really can happen over time, as it's more of a rhythm rather than just by time. So I'm trying to do that. And of course, not wasting time and really putting my heart towards the best treasures. So thank you for listening today. I hope that was helpful for you guys and kind of painting this picture of what it's been like for me in this story I've learned. A very, very valuable story, straight to my heart. Definitely makes a difference when someone has passed away and then you start to see it in those eyes. Like you just don't take any of it with you. So I hope you are doing well, and I will see you guys next time.